In a recent video, I was talking about how a lot of bookkeepers wish they would have focused on getting clients sooner rather than getting a bunch of certifications. So I wanted to chat today about how to get clients as a new bookkeeper, and specifically how to talk about yourself and your bookkeeping business if you feel like it's kind of awkward. So in the beginning, you're going to be chatting with people that you already know or people that you're getting to know. So I would encourage you to find some type of networking group. I know that can be hard if you're not the most outgoing person, but there are groups dedicated specifically to networking. You've heard me talk about BNI groups, so Business Networking International groups. There's also stuff like your Chamber of Commerce at your, city if you go to City Hall. I just heard about one called the Polka Dot Powerhouse, which is a networking group designed for women specifically. So I promise you, there are people out there who are wanting to share referrals to you. There are people that want to match you as a good bookkeeper to their friend or their colleague who needs a bookkeeper. So if you attend something like that, a lot of times there is a designated time where you can say like a 1-minute little blurb about your business. This might be formal, like in front of a little group, or it could just be like one-on-one, you're chatting with someone. So I have 6 tips for you about how to do this. So the first one is start with a hook. So your first inclination might be to say, I'm a bookkeeper. That's totally fine. But an example of more of like a hook is that I help small business owners stop dreading tax time. So that's still very concise and clear, but they're like, oh, I do dread tax time. Like, interesting. How can you help me? So it just kind of like grabs their attention and sparks a little bit of curiosity. And that leads very nicely into number 2, which is to highlight the pain points you solve. So we already mentioned one pain point, which might be tax time, like getting ready to pay your taxes. Another example of a pain point is business owners feel overwhelmed about keeping track of their finances. So you can speak to that. Say, I know a lot of business owners feel overwhelmed, so I make sure that their finances are really organized, and I do this year round so they don't have any surprises during tax time. Sometimes business owners don't even know what they need, but they do know their pain points. They know where they're frustrated. So some other pain point examples that you might want to pinpoint are messy books, like we talked about, cash flow confusion. So they're like, I don't know how much cash I'm gonna have. Am I gonna be able to make payroll this month? I just never know what my cash flow is. Or maybe you're really good at creating systems for business owners. So maybe after chatting with this person, you hear from them that their pain point is they have a hard time remembering to invoice their clients and collect the money. So you can say, oh, this is how I did this for my other bookkeeping client. I have this system that I use for invoicing, and it works really well. Number 3 is keep it short and simple. So people don't often understand a lot of the jargon. So it might be too much for the short conversation to say, yeah, I hook up bank feeds in QuickBooks Online and I reconcile transactions, and then I send a monthly profit and loss and a statement of cash flows and a balance sheet. That might be just might be too much jargon for people. So use relatable, everyday language that is conversational. So an easy way to say it is, I help small business owners keep track of their money. Or instead of keep track of their money, sometimes I say with finances. So I do finances for small business owners. That is a really short, concise way that people get. A lot of people have heard of QuickBooks, but it's kind of nebulous. They don't necessarily understand practically what it is or what it does unless they've actually used it. If you want to connect with me even more, I have a new thing on my YouTube channel that is called a membership. So you get discounts on products and you get access to my library of all the free resources and downloads that I have made for you guys. And you get priority in having your questions answered when you comment on my YouTube videos. So if that interests you, it's a pretty minimal monthly charge. There should be a join button that you can check out, and it describes that more if you're interested in that. And this is my new TikTok name. If you're ever on TikTok, you can check me out there. I'm kind of having fun creating content over there. It's kind of a different feel than YouTube. Obviously much shorter and more casual. All right, and number 4 is show how you are unique. What is it that sets you apart? For example, do you have a specific niche? Do you help nail salons and you know everything there is to know about the nail salon business? Or do you help business owners under age 25, people out of college who are just starting their business? Maybe that's your passion. Or maybe you just have a style. Maybe your thing is you can call me anytime, day or night, text me on my cell phone, and I'm gonna text you back. Communication is your thing. My example that I wrote down here is that unlike other bookkeepers, I don't just record the numbers. I help business owners understand what their finances are telling them. So just organizing the finances is one step, but then helping them understand is really key to their success as well. So maybe you are a teaching bookkeeper, and teaching them about their finances is your thing. So if you can figure out how to briefly describe what is different about you, what it makes you special as a bookkeeper that they might connect with. All right, number 5 is end with an invitation. So instead of just walking away from the person, if you guys got along and it seems like they might be kind of interested in you or your business, you can say something like, oh, can we get together like next week and maybe grab coffee and we can continue this conversation? Or if you have a business card, you can give them your card and be like, email me any questions you have. And I know a lot of people might be going away from business cards, but in these types of networking groups, it is nice to have a business card. I don't know, there might be like more modern ways. Do people like have QR codes now or something? I don't know, maybe they can scan your QR code and then find your website, something like that. But if you have some kind of idea for a next step, that might be really helpful. Or if maybe they mentioned one of their friends who needs a bookkeeper, you can be like, can I email you tomorrow and I'll get that info about your friend and then I'll follow up on that. Or maybe they want to know how much QuickBook costs. Whatever questions you guys talked about, just show that you're really good at following up. Number 6, this one's really important, is adjust based on their reaction. So sometimes if I say I'm a bookkeeper, people kind of give me a blank look, like they don't know what a bookkeeper is or a bookkeeper does. Or sometimes it creates the association for books, like a librarian. That's more rare now. I feel like people, I don't know, understand more than they used to for some reason. But again, if you say something that doesn't seem to really hit, like maybe you're like, I use QuickBooks Online for service-based businesses, and they don't really connect with that, or maybe they're not a service-based business, or maybe they don't have a business, you can kind of readjust your wording to something that connects with them more. Like before I said, use the word finance, that's pretty well known, or money, or taxes, because everyone has to pay taxes. Another idea is you can start asking them a couple questions to kind of like get to know where they're at. So you can ask what their business is and some more questions about that. But the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. And you can kind of like think about each conversation you have, and you're gonna get better and better at this over time, but reading people's reaction is a key part of that, because every person is coming at you with a different set of experiences and a different knowledge and understanding of what a bookkeeper is. So this can also be called like an elevator pitch. I have another video that has the word elevator pitch in the title, I believe. And elevator just meaning like if you get on an elevator with someone, you have a 1-minute ride, how do you quickly describe your business? In that video, I have a bunch of like specific examples like written out on the screen, I think, of like how you can describe your business in a few sentences. And this is more of like a conversational style, which I have found to be more useful and more typical of how I talk to people. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to visit my website, finepoints.biz.